Wow, money scams are crazy nowadays. With how sophisticated they're becoming, how do you protect yourself? In this video, I'm going to cover 5 strategies that you can use to avoid being scammed. Hey, Frank Thomas here from Wealth Generation Strategies. Today, I'm going to talk about how you protect your money. And that's all about not getting scammed. So how do you avoid being scammed nowadays? There's always been scammers, but today it seems like you have to question even legitimate sources. I actually came across an article, which was kind of the birth of this video, that it was about a gentleman in Ontario, Canada, and I'll put a link into the show notes, and he got scammed out of $750,000. Ouch. That's all I'm going to say. Ouch. When I read the original story, there was several things that jumped out at me immediately that made me suspect it was a scam, and I want to share them with you today so you don't get scammed. You follow these 5 strategies and you minimize the chances of becoming a next scam victim. So this story was published on February 25th of 2025, so literally a few weeks ago. An 82-year-old gentleman who got scammed out of $750,000. He went to Google and entered the search of best rates for GICs. GIC is a government-sanctioned investment tool. It's a lot like if in the States, it's a lot like a treasury bill, I believe. But a GIC is something that banks can issue, and it's usually a very guaranteed rate of return. One of the results that he got was to a link to a website that looked like the real bank in Canada called PC Financial. Now, on his side, PC Financial is a real bank, and it was very convincing looking, apparently. And with a little more convincing, this gentleman made a transfer of $750,000 to purchase what he thought was a very legitimate GIC investment. So let's dig into this and see why it said it was a scam to me. Well, the website was a very well built fake of the real website, and they provided this person with paper documentation, a phone number with somebody they can deal with directly, etc., etc., etc. So it looked really legitimate to him. So what went wrong? And more importantly, how could this gentleman have avoided being scammed in the first place? And this leads me to the very first point. If it's too good to be true, it probably isn't. It's kind of funny. When my wife was describing this story to me, I said, I bet you that they offered him a GIC rate of, let's say, 6%, when GICs everywhere else are going for 3%. That immediately just brings out the greed factor in a person. And for some reason, when greed steps in, your sensibility steps out. And it happens to all of us. I'm guilty of it too. Needless to say, it was like I'd read the article because the scam site was offering a GIC at 6.5%. So if it's too good to be true, it's not. This should have been the biggest warning bell. The number one tool scammers use to scam you is your very own greed. So really, if it sounds too good to be true, it's not. Stop. Don't go to the bank. Just don't transfer the money. Say, thank you very much, click. This leads me to point number 2. Let's say that you still are interested and you want to just be sure before you put your money into this particular investment. Okay, so we've been offered a much higher rate of return than any other bank, and if that didn't give us enough warning signs, then we need to do some more research. And this is my point, research, and more research. Don't just rely on information provided by the scammer. Look up the bank, find a local bank branch phone number outside of what you got from the original person, and call them. And call your bank and ask them if this seems legitimate. Take your time you need to be sure. Okay? And this is called due diligence. You got to be sure. Even the best deals that you come across, you got to be sure. Okay, this leads me to 3, and that's beware of urgency. The article didn't mention this factor, but the more pressure a person applies, the more leery I become. It's not normal, especially in financial circles. Yes, some deals can't wait, but this is different. This is really different. If you feel like you're being rushed to get it done, it's better to walk away, even if it is a legitimate deal. You never want to be in a position where you have this sense of urgency. But there's only one place that you should have a sense of urgency, and it's hitting that like button. If you're liking this video and you're liking the points that I'm bringing up, click the like button. It tells YouTube that this is a good video and it should show it to more people. And also, if you're enjoying the video and you want to see more content from me, make sure you subscribe. And that's my plug. But I do love to have you on board, so be sure you do that. Number 4, tread carefully. Let's say you've done your homework and you've moved through the motions. Don't put everything into one investment, even if it's a legitimate investment. Don't sink it all on lucky number 5. Just don't do it. Again, this article doesn't mention this, but did this gentleman put all of his life savings into this deal? Even if it was a legitimate deal, I would have split up my investment. Diversification is a great way to protect your overall portfolio. Yeah, you might not get as high a rate of return, but he got a rate of return of nothing. In other words, he put the money in and it was gone. So anything is better than nothing. Also, consider investing. If you're sure of this, if you're really sure, consider investing a smaller amount to let the institution prove itself. Okay, that's what I would do. Point number 5, you need to become a savvy investor. If you think knowledge is expensive, try ignorance. Again, without reading between the lines in this article too much, I get the impression that this man was not a savvy investor. He's looking at GICs to get a high rate of return. Says it all to me. GICs are very safe if it's from a legitimate source. Thus, they don't have a very high rate of return. So you need to look at other investment vehicles. You owe it to yourself to become wise when it comes to your money. Only you can protect it, and you shouldn't trust anyone else to do this job. In the article, the man actually scolds the bank for not recognizing it was a scam. Guess what? It wasn't the bank's job. It was his to recognize it was a scam. If he went back to school and learned more about various financial investments, he would discover there's some really great investments out there that he can make and comfortably make his 6.5% or more on his money. So this is probably the most important point, and you need to become a savvy investor. Don't trust anybody else. But I do have a bonus for you today as well, and it's talking about trusting your instincts. If you do everything I mentioned in this video, number 5 being the most important, you'll soon be able to trust your instincts. If you feel your greed factor rising up, you need to stop right away. Greed seems to shut that sensibility reasoning centers off in the brain. Also, take strategy number 2 and test the idea with others to get their feedback. In other words, research, and more research. King Solomon, who is said to be the wisest person who ever lived, quoted, "Without counsel, plans fail, but with many advisors, they succeed." Again, the article doesn't get into who he talked to, but I get the impression that I don't think he talked to a lot of people. So trust me when I tell you this, there's a lot more people out there who are ready to take your money and run than legitimate people with legitimate deals. But there's a mistake that I personally made that cost me millions of dollars. Yeah, I'm not proud of it, but this is a mistake you definitely want to avoid. So be sure to click on the video you're seeing on the screen right now and learn about my $1 million mistake. Thank you for listening today, and be sure not to get scammed. Follow these 5 points, and like I said in the beginning of the video, the chances you getting scammed diminish greatly. Frank Thomas here. Have a great day.